So it's Rivalry Week #1, USC versus UCLA. And I've got a question. Is it more fun when both teams are good and highly ranked when they play?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I am your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free. And I want to thank everyone for coming along for the ride. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't done it already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot. And to those of you who already have, thank you. All right, so this episode is brought to you today by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so the answer to the question at the top of the show is false. No, it is not better. Let me tell you why. I mean, look, I get it from a national exposure point of view. You know, you probably have ESPN and Fox playing Rochambeau to, kind of see who gets to host their show from the Rose Bowl. There's, both teams highly ranked and a berth in the conference championship game on the line. There's playoff implications. Two quarterbacks trying to, secure an invite to New York for the Heisman. All that's true. It's good for the perception of the conference. Except for both schools are planning to leave the conference in less than 2 years. So that's false. And look, UCLA, the Bruins already pooped the bed, pooped in the woods. All right, you get the joke. They lost at home last week to Arizona. So it kind of takes a little bit of luster off of this game from that perception point of view. And look, when both teams are good, USC's they're always going to recruit better than UCLA when it comes to football. And lately in basketball too, they can hold their own. But you don't want UCLA doing so well in football that recruits start looking their direction. Chip Kelly doesn't need any help. He's not great at recruiting. So if them winning and the byproduct is more players want to go to UCLA from the local areas as opposed to USC, I don't think that's a good thing. So, excuse me. I don't necessarily think that it's a good, strong UCLA in football is a good thing for USC. And for me, I get almost as much satisfaction watching UCLA lose as much as I do from watching USC win. And I don't care how that makes me look or sound. I lived through an 8-game losing streak. So my heart is hardened when it comes to UCLA, and I also got a personal issue in my life that goes back to UCLA. She was a Bruin, and no. So I hate UCLA for many reasons, mostly because of that 8-game losing streak, and there was just some losses involved during that time that just, again, left some scars. And don't want to deal with that ever again. So so with that said, all that said, look, I can deal with the occasional UCLA team that is highly ranked and has their high hopes, and they plan on big things only to have those hopes and dreams crushed by USC. So that's fun too. I get that. I can deal with that every 4 or 5 years. but on an annual basis, no. I don't prefer UCLA being highly ranked when USC is highly ranked and they're playing each other. If USC and UCLA were sticking around in the Pac-10, maybe you can convince me to look the other way, but no. And there's the other side there's two sides to a coin. Let's remember this. So while it's fun beating UCLA when they're highly ranked and USC is highly ranked, in the off chance that UCLA beats USC, those losses tend to hurt even more because now UCLA and their fans tend to want to build off of that momentum. And again, I talked about recruiting. You don't need that type of momentum, karma, juju, evil forces lurking in the background with UCLA winning highly ranked against a highly ranked USC team. And especially coming off of last year's 62-33 win at the Coliseum. Now, granted, it was against a 4-8 USC team. So that would be another reason. We don't want to make this 9-1 USC all of a sudden look like one of those "ha we got you" moments where we ruined your season. No. So 2022, it wouldn't be a good time, a good year for UCLA to repeat and to hold on to that victory bell, especially since USC has that conference championship berth on the line, and there's a whole lot more staring USC in the face than that's staring UCLA in the face. So, it's a safe bet that it's always better for USC to be highly ranked and for UCLA just to kind of languish, just be average. They don't have to be great. They don't have to be terrible. Just be that 7, 8, 9 win team that wants to play the spoiler. That should be UCLA's role. They don't need to be hovering in the top 10 or higher, top 5, pushing USC for the battle or the supremacy of Los Angeles. That's just don't need it. Not good. And because it's a safe bet that you want USC to always be the highly ranked team and the UCLA to always be the team chasing. You want to secure that, and the way you secure that is by using SimpliSafe. So, did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? They do. That's why our friends at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering a 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. So order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy the advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Here's why. Did you know that SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report? Not just once, not just twice, but for the 3rd year in a row. In an emergency, you get 24/7 professional monitoring agents that use Fast Protect. That's their trademark technology exclusively from SimpliSafe. And it captures critical evidence and verifies the threat is real, not Israel, so you can get priority police response. SimpliSafe is a whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. You get high-definition security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. With the top-rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust the system settings wherever you're at. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that I would recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at SimpliSafe.com. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's SimpliSafe.com/LockedOnCollege. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, so thanks again. always, thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with your local sports and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so here are the things. Look, as long as USC does the following things on both offense and defense, they're going to win. They're going to beat UCLA, and I'm going to tell you how and why. Ready? So, first, if USC scores more points than UCLA, they're going to win. I know, right? Who the fuck it? Keep it simple, stupid. I think everybody anticipates, both teams are going to have some big plays, and they're going to put us some points because defensively, both teams, that's not their strong suit. So it's really going to come down to who can limit the big plays. And if USC can just win the turnover margin, they are at a plus 17 on the year. I believe they still lead the nation. UCLA is at a plus 3. If USC is able to win the turnover margin and convert those extra possessions into points, that should probably be enough separation between the two teams and the defenses that are, look, they're liabilities against the other team's strengths. USC's defense has been very opportunistic this year, so I hate to crack on them too hard and throw them throw too much shade at them, but at the beginning of the year they were very opportunistic, creating a lot of turnovers. It slowed down a little bit on the back end here of the season. They can make up for it here. Excuse me, against UCLA. As I said, they're only a plus 3, so they don't necessarily create a lot of turnovers. And DTR has Dorian Thompson-Robinson, their quarterback, has shown he'll turn the ball over under pressure. So that would be a good start right there for USC not to all of a sudden start turning the ball over. They haven't been doing it at all this year. 2 interceptions. The second one happened last week. And they haven't fumbled the ball. So just don't start now. I know it's a rivalry game and strange things happen. But let's make this season an outlier where USC has no fumbles throughout the year. Can you imagine? Only 2 more games. Hopefully I'm not jinxing this. I'm knocking on wood. It's covered in glass, but I'm knocking on it. Secondly, look, I just talked about the win of the turnover battle, but also no stupid penalties. Let UCLA get the unsportsmanlike penalties, roughing the passer penalties. They're already going to be playing with some extra emotion, wanting to play the spoiler. They saw bigger dreams and things those dreams were popped last week when they lost at home to Arizona. Big smile on his face here. Like I said, I get a lot of enjoyment out of that stuff. So don't allow the Pac-12 officiating to play a role. And if it does, let them affect UCLA. Just play smart, disciplined football. Last week, you had 8 penalties, but it wasn't really the officials who got involved. It was just more of USC doing untimely, dumb stuff. And again, against Colorado, you can get away with that. You can't get behind the sticks against UCLA. You don't want to be falling behind 7, 10, 14 points and trying to come back. Because UCLA can control the clock. Chip Kelly knows how to do that running the ball. And that is a strength of UCLA, is running the ball, which leads me to number 3. USC's defense is vulnerable against the run. And as I just mentioned, that's something UCLA does well with Zach Charbonnet. He's going to get his yards. So tackle him. Don't allow him to get the extra yards. I think he's only been tackled for a loss like 3 or 4 times this year, which is an amazing stat for a running back who touches the ball as frequently, as often as he does. So when I say don't allow him to get the extra yards, first contact, he's going to fall forward and get a yard or two. Fine. Don't let those yard or two turn into 5, 6, 7 yards. Limit his productivity because he's going to get his. There's no doubt about that. Also, keep DTR from picking up yards with his feet. Look, if Arizona can do it, they did it last week. So can USC. As limited as they are with their speed on defense at the first level, I think they have enough if they play smart, gap, control football on defense, stay in their lanes. Again, he wants to get outside the pocket, but don't allow him to get the edge and then start using his feet. That's when he becomes very dangerous. Because when you make him throw, if you can contain him outside the pocket, when he's under pressure, he's not very accurate. We saw that last week, and he's shown it throughout his 5, 6, 7, 8 year career at USC. He finally got a win last year. Took him long enough, right? Nothing personal. It's UCLA week. Not a big fan. And they did drop 62 points on USC last year. So still a little bitter face here. Anyways, so as I said, contain their run game. If Arizona can do it, USC should be able to as well. Will Eric Gentry be available? If he can, I think that's a big, big positive for USC's defense. Number 4, look, UCLA, we know that USC is terrible. Well, I shouldn't say terrible. Their weakness on defense weighs more against the run than it does against the pass. UCLA, they suck against the pass. I'm sorry, had to get that in there. But if Caleb Williams and the USC wide receivers, they should have an advantage against UCLA, especially if Mario Williams is back and Jordan Addison is more ready to go than he was last week. If those two are good to go and Caleb Williams is ready to play from the beginning of the game, he's in sync, he's not missing on his throws, this could be a really long night for UCLA and their defense. Especially if he continues to use the running backs out of the backfield, which we saw him do more last week. Austin Jones actually led the team with 4 receptions. Rayleigh Brown showed what he can do in open space. That'll be a key. Get him out in open space. Also, pass protect. Don't allow UCLA's defense to start, getting to Caleb and putting him under pressure. Caleb can handle his own, but it would be better if the offensive line can just keep his uniform clean. You know what? And as far as Caleb is concerned, him specifically, he just needs to be less aggressive downfield, I guess. It's the best way of putting it. Don't make those unnecessary deep throws when you can take what's underneath using the running backs out of the backfield. Or if UCLA is throwing out a soft zone, dropping guys into coverage, and you need just to get the first down and keep drives extended, pick up the first down with your feet. Start all over again. First down, now you can start looking big play again. Not everything has to be downfield is what I'm trying to say. USC does all that on offense, on defense, and their special teams doesn't give up any big plays. Hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully. If Casimir Allen is healthy and ready to go for UCLA, last year he busted a 100-yard touchdown return. Can't let that happen this year. So if that means kicking the ball out, either kick the ball through the back of the end zone or just kick it out of bounds and let them start at the 35 if you're not going to have good coverage. Let's just take it off the board, focus on offense and defense if special teams isn't going to be prepared to play. Because I think UCLA has the advantage, although, maybe Rayleigh Brown breaks one. Who knows? It's a rivalry game. Stuff happens. I would prefer it happening for USC and not for UCLA. So that's all I'm going to say. Again, USC does all that. I don't think it's going to be a 2 or 3 point score. I believe USC is a 2.5 point favorite, depending on which sports book you're looking at. So you can bet online. You can head on over to BetOnline. You can check out what they have to see what USC is favored as, because betonline.net is your #1 source for your sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. You can get all the latest odds and trends for every professional sports and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. They've got it all covered at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like this one, you can find those over there at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head on over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. So which games do you remember as a USC fan from a winning perspective, as well as from the other side of the ledger? Those games that USC lost to UCLA. Yeah, well, all right. So I'm going to pick a few from each. You can comment on YouTube. Leave your comments there. Chime in. Let me know. Also, don't forget we've got a thing going on over there at wearesc.com. We still got the $10 special. Check it out. Flash sale. You sign up, you get all that VIP subscription content through August 31st, 2023, all the way through fall camp. But here on Locked On USC, your first listen, this is what you're going to get for free. My memories, the good and the bad. What should we start with? Let's start with the bad and we'll end with the good. Just because we always want to end on a positive. So as far as the games that really stick out in my mind, every single one of those 8 games that USC lost in a row in the 90s, you can mention Cade McNown's name and I want to vomit, just like he did on the football field. That was a really rough time for USC football. There were games where you thought, all right, they're going to finally break through, and it never happened. The strange things would happen. R.J. Sauer had a monster game as a freshman. UCLA won. I mentioned Cade McNown's name. How about, here's a name, John Barnes, 1992. So this guy was a walk-on. Literally just a no-name walk-on. He came from the University of California, Santa Barbara. Their football program got disbanded because, lower level nonetheless, nobody went to watch them play football. There was no financing. They just said, we're out of here, no more football. John Barnes walks on at UCLA. USC had a 21-point fourth quarter lead. Okay? Let's that sink in. USC lost 38-37. And this happened at the Rose Bowl. And the guy threw for 385 yards. I mean, if he never does anything more again in his life, he will always have that. And I'm sure the young man, John, he's an old man now, closer to my age, has gone on to do some really good things in his life professionally. Nevertheless, I curse you, John Barnes. I hated you that day. To this day, that game bothers me probably almost as much as 13-9. I mean, really? 9 points USC was able to score? 9 points. That was supposed to be the easiest game at the end of the year. USC had a 4-game stretch at the end against ranked teams, or UCLA wasn't very good that year. Like, all right, you get to UCLA, you get past them, walk in for another opportunity to win another national championship. And look, I don't want to say a whole lot about this game other than, again, they can only score 9 points. And then when they were actually driving, they actually had something working a little bit on offense for that winning score. All of a sudden, Eric McNeil reaches out like Satan from the bottom of the depths of earth, tips the ball, intercepts it with a freaky play, and it's a game over. No suit for you. And you hate to say USC had to settle for the Rose Bowl, but they went on to play, Illinois, a 3-loss Illinois team in the Rose Bowl. USC won, which, silver lining, but that loss to UCLA kept USC out of another national championship opportunity. And then, obviously, last year, USC gave up 62 points at home. They scored 33. DTR he had 349 yards, 4 touchdowns. He ran for another 2. At one point, he's freaking autographing USC jerseys after scoring a touchdown during a game. I mean, there was just so much salt in the wound. They were just enjoying USC's 4-8 season way too much. So, yeah, all that was just I'm sure you guys have your own memories. Those are the ones that really stick out for me. So let's get to the good. Let's wash that taste out of the mouth, because those games suck, just like UCLA. UCLA always sucks, but those games in particular. First really big game, winning game moment for me as a USC fan. I remember watching USC when I was a youngster, 7 years old. Ricky Bell caught my eye. Traveler, that was back in 1974 is when I was 7. I wasn't old enough to appreciate what was going on, but I have memories. But I vividly remember 1977 and Frank Jordan's game-winning field goal to beat UCLA. Not bad, right? Anytime you can walk off the field with the game-winning kick, because look, let's face it, special teams guys, they don't get any love, and when they do it, you want to give them that special moment, and Frank Jordan will have that. 2001 was pretty special. 27-0 shutout. It was the beginning of the Pete Carroll dynasty. The era had already started early in that year, but USC got off to a rough start that year. They I think went 1-5. They had to win their last 5 games of the year just to become bowl eligible, and they capped that eligibility off by beating UCLA 27-0. But the best part of that game was Antoine Simmons. This is a young man who literally almost died on the operating table. He had a really large tumor. They had to go in and do emergency surgery. He's really fortunate to be alive. Anyways, he did all the rehab. He worked himself back onto the field, and he had one of the greatest pick sixes you'll ever see, ever. ESPN even made it their top play of top. It made the top 10, and it was the #1 play of the year. Ball went off of Brian Poley-Dixon's hands, and Poley-Dixon thought the play was dead. He thought maybe the ball hit the ground. Well, Simmons corralled the ball between his legs and High stepped it back into the end zone for a touchdown, pick 6. USC won 27-0. And as you know, the following year, USC went to the Orange Bowl, and USC really took off. And then I've got these 2 games tied for me as great memories. 2011, 50-0 shutout. Can't go wrong there. And 2009. Yeah. So this is when Skippy, Rick Neuheisel, decided to call a timeout. Game was over. But he, for whatever reason, thought it wasn't over and wanted to get the ball back, score, and then, try and do an onside kick, recover, whatever. Dude had a pipe dream. Well, he called the timeout. Pete Carroll, they dialed it up. Matt Barkley went deep to Damian Williams. Touchdown. The 2 teams start jawing each other. UCLA, they start approaching midfield, and USC, they're dancing on the sideline. No brawl ensued, but it was close. And that's what you want in a rivalry, right? You want hate, you want animosity, and look, next time, don't call a timeout, and we won't go deep. So those are the good and the bad. The good's always better. It's rivalry week, USC versus UCLA. Locked on USC is going to be back for another episode tomorrow. Thanks again for making Locked on USC your first listen today. Until our next episode, everyone, you know what to do.